There was lavender on her sweater. That was the first thing I noticed. Not the fake cough. Not the way she limped like she'd pulled a muscle. Not even the pale look she plastered across her face like it was makeup. No, it was the lavender. She hates lavender. Always said it reminded her of her grandmother's funeral. So why did her clothes reek of it? I asked. She said it was from the office hand lotion. Then she changed her story and said it was from a new air freshener in the Uber. Then, finally, she told me to stop asking stupid questions and that she wasn't in the mood to decode every breath for me. That was when I knew I wasn't crazy. That's when I knew something was happening. I wasn't supposed to be home that day. I'd left work early because of a canceled meeting. She didn't know I'd be there. I think she expected to sneak in, shower, sleep it off, and pretend everything was fine by dinner. But I opened the door before she reached the handle. She flinched. Her makeup was half wiped. Her shirt was inside out. There was a faint red mark on her collarbone that she hadn't even noticed yet. She looked at me, blinked too fast, and said the worst lie I've ever heard in my life. I think I caught a stomach bug. Right. That stomach bug must have climbed out of someone's apartment window and hitched a ride to our house, wearing her jacket. She spent the rest of the evening curled on the couch, groaning just enough to keep me from asking questions, but not too loud to raise suspicion. I brought her tea. She barely touched it. I asked if she wanted soup. She said, "My throat hurts." But then I caught her laughing at something on her phone when she thought I was in the garage. It was like watching someone perform grief. But I wasn't sure who she was grieving for, me, or the version of herself she used to pretend to be. The next morning, I got a message request on Facebook from a name I didn't recognize, Dara Nayland. I clicked it. All it said was, "I think we need to talk. I found something in my husband's lab results. Your wife might be involved." I stared at the screen, and I swear my fingers went numb. Not because I didn't believe it, but because I did. I stared at that message from Dara for over an hour without replying. Every 5 minutes, I'd open it, reread it, and tell myself it was a prank, or spam, or someone trying to ruin our lives for no reason. But deep down, something wouldn't let me delete it. Because something already felt broken, like her message didn't cause anything. It just confirmed what I hadn't had the guts to admit. Still, I didn't respond right away. Instead, I did what I always do when I'm overwhelmed. I paced. In circles. In silence. Like a scared animal trapped in its own home. And while I paced, Lena sat on the couch in the other room, pretending to sleep. I say pretending because her breathing was too steady, her body too still, and her phone lit up every few minutes. She thought I couldn't see it from the hallway mirror. I wanted to ask her right then and there. I wanted to say, "Who is Ansel?" Or, "Why does another woman think you gave her husband an STD?" But I was scared of the answer. I was scared it would make things real. So instead, I texted Dara back. My reply was only 2 words. "I'm listening." She responded within 5 minutes. She didn't waste time. She told me she'd been suspicious of her husband, Ansel, for months. That he suddenly became obsessed with working out, started shaving places he never used to shave, and took showers as soon as he got home from work, sometimes twice a day. She said she thought it was another woman, maybe someone from his gym, but she didn't expect to find what she did. Ansel had come back from a routine checkup with flagged blood work. The doctor recommended more testing, and sure enough, the second round revealed something he never told her. She found the results in a shared email account, one he forgot she still had access to. That's when the truth began to unravel. He admitted to seeing someone, said it was complicated, claimed the woman was married and had everything to lose. Dara pressed. He broke. He said her name, Lena. That's when I stopped breathing. Dara asked if we could meet. Not to cause drama, not to start a fight. She just wanted to show me something she didn't feel comfortable sending over the phone. I didn't answer her right away. I walked back into the living room. Lena was now asleep, arms crossed tight over her chest like she was guarding a secret even in her dreams. I stood there, watching her, wondering how many times she looked me in the eyes and smiled while living a double life beneath my nose. I quietly walked over, picked up her phone, and went straight to the bathroom. She didn't wake up. Her phone had a 6-digit passcode. I'd seen it before. 111378. Her sister's birthday. I punched it in. It opened. And right there, on her recent apps, was a lab portal. Open. Still logged in. And at the top of the page, test results, confidential, notifiable disease. I swear, my vision went black at the edges. I tapped it. My hands shook. And that's when I saw it. Not just the name of the condition, but the date. The same day she came home sick. And she never said a word. I couldn't stop staring at the top of the screen. The name on the lab portal wasn't even Lena's full name. It was her maiden name, the one she hadn't used in over 6 years. And the date of birth was off by 1 year. Just enough to make it hard to find if someone wasn't looking closely. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't carelessness. This was planned. She didn't want it traced back. I kept scrolling down the report, even though my brain screamed at me to stop. It felt like walking deeper into a tunnel with no exit, and every sentence I read pulled me further into a world I didn't know she was living in. What I saw next made my stomach clench. Under recommended contact notification, it said, "Partners should be informed immediately." Plural. Partners. They didn't even know who exactly she had exposed. I put the phone down and looked at myself in the mirror. My face didn't look like mine anymore. I was pale, hollow-eyed, like someone had drained me from the inside out. I wasn't even angry. Not yet. Just empty. Like grief had arrived before the funeral. When I walked out of the bathroom, Lena was sitting up now. Awake. But she didn't ask where I'd been or why I had her phone. She just stared at me, face blank. Like we were two strangers waiting in the same train station, pretending we didn't recognize each other. I didn't say a word. I just handed her the phone. Her hands didn't even shake. She looked down at the screen, saw what was open, and sighed, not in fear, not in panic, but like someone who was tired of holding up the lie. Then she whispered the one sentence I'll never forget. "I was going to tell you, after it cleared up." Like it was the flu. Like I was supposed to just wait it out. She said she was going to tell me. After it cleared up. Like it was temporary. Like it was toothpaste on a shirt. Like I was supposed to be grateful she didn't keep it from me forever. I didn't even know what to say. I think I nodded, not because I forgave her, but because my brain couldn't catch up with the speed of the wreckage. She got up and walked to the kitchen. Opened a bottle of water like we didn't just fall through the floor of our marriage. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. But I didn't. I just stood there like a statue with a heart pounding out of rhythm. And then her phone rang. She froze. I froze. The name on the screen was D. Just the letter. She didn't answer. It rang again. D. This time with a red exclamation beside it, "Missed call." Then came the message. It lit up her screen in big bold letters. "You didn't tell him yet? I swear, if he contacts my husband." She snatched the phone before I could finish reading it, but it was too late. I'd seen enough. My voice cracked when I asked, "Who is D?" She hesitated. Then she sat down and whispered something that made me lean against the wall to stay upright. "His wife." I blinked. "You're still talking to her?" She looked up at me, like I was the one being unreasonable. She needed to know how serious it was. That it wasn't just physical. My stomach turned. "What does that mean?" She hesitated again. Too long. And then she said it. "It started last summer. It had turned into something else." My knees almost gave out. I'd spent that summer repainting the entire guest room while she said she was going to evening yoga twice a week. She even posted about it, selfies in workout clothes, captions about breathing and mindfulness. It was all fake. All of it. While I was scraping paint off the floor, she was building a second life. And now her lover's wife was messaging her, threatening to blow it up from the other side. I asked her one last question before I left the room. "Did you ever think about what you were giving me? Without knowing it?" She didn't answer, just looked down at her hands. Then she said something that shook me harder than the truth itself. "You wouldn't have noticed if she hadn't found the results." That was the moment I knew the betrayal wasn't just physical. It was how little she thought of me, how easy it was to risk everything, because she didn't think I'd ever notice. I met Dara in the back corner of a bookstore cafe. She chose the spot, said it was quiet, and she didn't want an audience. I expected a woman with puffy eyes, maybe a trembling voice, someone as shattered as I felt. But when she stood up to greet me, she wasn't shaking. She wasn't even angry. She smiled. And that terrified me more than if she'd screamed. "Hi," she said, like we were old classmates meeting by accident. She gestured for me to sit. I did, cautiously, like the chair might explode. My hands wouldn't stop sweating, and I could feel my own heart pounding in my ears. She got straight to it. "I wasn't sure if you'd show." I shrugged. I didn't know if I wanted to. "I get that." Then she pulled out a folder. No dramatic build-up. No slow reveal. Just a manila folder slid across the table like it was a restaurant bill. I opened it with shaky hands. Photos. Screenshots, printouts, hotel reservations, a medical slip, handwritten notes. She had everything. Organized. Chronological. The way she'd built this case, it was clinical. Almost cold. I work in data compliance, she said, watching me read. I know how to follow digital footprints. And they weren't even careful. I nodded, still staring at a time-stamped photo of my wife stepping out of a hotel elevator, not alone. Same lavender sweater. Same earrings she claimed she lost. There were notes on the back of one screenshot. Handwritten. Met twice a week. Once during work lunch. Once at night. Yoga. Dara even tracked their rideshare receipts. Times. Addresses. Patterns. She said it was more than physical. I mumbled, barely able to speak. Dara raised an eyebrow. She told you that? Yeah. She paused, then laughed, not cruelly, but with a kind of bitter exhaustion. She told me it wasn't anything serious. Just a phase. A curiosity. That she felt invisible in her marriage and wanted to feel wanted again. I froze. Invisible. That's what Lena used to say to me. That I wasn't present. That I was too focused on bills, home repairs, the future, everything but her. So she found someone who looked at her. I felt nauseous. My hands started to tremble. Dara noticed. I didn't bring you here to punish you, she said. I brought you here because you deserve to know what she didn't have the decency to tell you. And because, she hesitated, then finished, I need your help. I looked up, confused. Help with what? Dara's expression changed. Her smile dropped. I think they're still seeing each other. I blinked. Even after you found the results? I confronted Ansel, she said. He swore it ended. He looked me in the eyes and said it was over. But yesterday, his GPS history showed a detour. Guess where? I didn't answer. She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. A map opened. A red pin hovered over a familiar address. My house. Yesterday. At noon. I was at work. After Dara showed me the GPS pin hovering over my own house, I couldn't breathe right for the rest of the day. Not because it was shocking. At this point, nothing Lena did surprise me anymore. But because it meant that even after everything, after the test results, the discovery, the confrontation, she still let him back in. While I was working, while I was paying the bills, while I was believing her I need space, texts, and her sudden interest in reading self-help books about marriage recovery. She was using my forgiveness as a hiding place. That night, I didn't accuse her. I didn't even hint at what I knew. I just sat next to her on the couch, nodded at her fake laughter while she scrolled through her phone, and mentally counted the days I'd spent loving someone who clearly saw me as a backup plan. The next morning, I left for work like usual. Except I didn't go far. I parked 2 blocks down and waited. The living room clock I'd installed 2 weeks ago, the one Lena complimented for being surprisingly modern, wasn't just a clock. It was also a camera. Motion activated. Cloud storage. The works. I opened the app. Nothing yet. Then, at 12:14 p.m., it activated. She opened the front door, looked around, let him in. He kissed her. On the mouth. Like they hadn't destroyed 2 lives between them. I didn't watch the rest. I closed the app. My fingers were shaking. I couldn't even put the keys in the ignition without dropping them twice. I wasn't just hurt. I was humiliated. She wasn't even sorry. She was strategic. And now I knew something she didn't. I waited until Saturday. I told Lena I wanted to reconnect, that I'd booked a dinner for just the 2 of us, something nice. No pressure. Just us. She nodded slowly, like she wasn't sure if it was a trap, but her eyes flickered with relief, maybe even smugness. She thought I was folding, that I was choosing peace over confrontation. She had no idea the restaurant wasn't just for us. I'd reserved a private room at a small Italian place across town, the same one where we celebrated our 5th anniversary. She'd worn blue back then. This time, she wore black. Elegant. Confident. A little too much perfume, though, like she was dressing for an apology she didn't plan to make. We ordered wine. She asked about my week. I played along. Told her work was stressful, that I missed her, that I wanted to rebuild if she was still willing. I watched her relax. Her voice got softer. She reached across the table and touched my hand. Her fingers were warm. That used to mean something to me. When dessert came, I told her I had a surprise. That's when Dara walked in. Lena froze. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. Dara didn't speak either. She just slid into the empty seat beside me, placed her phone face down on the table, and looked Lena dead in the eye. Lena's first words were, Why is she here? I smiled, not out of joy, but because I had rehearsed this moment in my head 100 times, and she still walked into it exactly like I imagined. I leaned in and said, "Because you lied to both of us. Again. This week. In our home." Lena looked at Dara, then back at me. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. I tapped the clock camera app, played 10 seconds of video. No audio, just footage of her opening the front door, letting him in, kissing him, smiling. She didn't deny it. She just whispered, "So you were spying on me?" I laughed. A short, broken sound. "I was surviving you." Dara reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope, the same one from the cafe. She pushed it across the table again. But this time, it wasn't for me. "I'm done being the quiet one," she said. "Ansel's already seen the contents. He knows where I stand. Now it's your turn." Lena didn't open the envelope. She didn't need to. She looked at it like it was a coffin. I stood up. So did Dara. Lena didn't follow. She just sat there, eyes glassy, lips pressed tight, like she was holding back every excuse, every sob story, every manipulation that used to work. But this time, she had no script. Because for the first time in this whole mess, she wasn't in control. And she knew it. Lena didn't come home that night. She texted me at 11:14 p.m., one sentence. "I need time to process." No apology. No explanation. Just another delay tactic, like truth was something she could schedule for later. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because for the first time in what felt like years, my chest wasn't full of knots. The silence in our house wasn't suffocating anymore. It was clean. Still. Honest. I made coffee the next morning and drank it by the window. No phone in my hand. No looking over my shoulder. No pretending not to see what was right in front of me. She came by 2 days later to collect some things. Didn't say much. I didn't either. She looked smaller. Not physically, just smaller. Like someone who'd been caught in their own lies so deeply they forgot who they were before it. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't need to. The video, the documents, the silence, they'd already done what years of begging for answers couldn't. She paused at the door, suitcase in hand, and said, "I never meant to hurt you." I looked at her, really looked at her, and replied, "You didn't mean for me to find out. That's not the same thing." Then I shut the door, and it stayed shut. Weeks passed. No more texts. No more fake yoga nights. No more waiting for a lie to arrive through the front door. I finally canceled the couple's therapy sessions I'd been secretly paying for. Deleted the calendar reminders to check in with her emotional needs. I reclaimed my space. I joined a running group. Started eating better. Talked to my brother again. The one she always said was too blunt. I even reconnected with an old friend who'd once warned me about Lena's disappearing hours. Funny how the people we ignore are usually the ones telling the truth. Dara? She filed for divorce the same week I did. We haven't spoken since that dinner, and honestly, we don't need to. Some battles are fought side by side with strangers you'll never meet again, but they still leave you changed. I don't know what Lena's doing now. I don't ask. I don't check. That part of my life is over. And I'm okay with that. Actually, I'm better than okay.